Let's talk about how being a chip off the old block can help you supersize and grow your business. This is a wood sample from remodeling my old house, and this is not the wood sample we ended up putting in, but it is one I really liked. I really like this particular wood sample. Chip off the old block is our idiom today, and how can being a chip off the old block help you to grow and supersize your business? Well, chip off the old block means a child or a person that resembles a parent or a sibling or somebody in your familiar line with respect to looks. Generally, it means looks because that's the first thing people see and notice, or your abilities or your talents or your behaviors. How many of us have met a person and then we meet a relative of theirs and we're like, oh my God, twins or something like that? This idiom, this expression, this comparing people to people that they're related to goes back to the ancient Greek times. And in 1637, Dr. Sanderson wrote about it in a sermon, and that was the first time that it was actually documented. And in that particular instance, he meant a person related familiarly to another person and how much they are alike. And how does this help us? How does this help us in our business? Well, if you're fortunate to have a parent or a relative that was great at business and they taught you about that business. For example, I am the most like my father of all my sisters. I did the corporate and the side business as my career, and I learned a lot by doing that from my father and modeling my dad. So I had a role model that I could model to create the life that I wanted. But yet in the same family, I have 3 other sisters, and none of them followed in those footsteps. So to me, it was an advantage. To them, maybe not so much to be like my dad. I looked the most like my father of all my sisters, and then 2 of my sisters look like my mom, and then my one sister is like a combination of all kinds of relatives with respect to hair color and all different things. We're all short, so I guess we got that from both my parents. But a chip off the old block means we're like people that we surround ourselves with. So whether it's your actual family or not, we tend to be like the people we spend the most time with. We tend to be like the things that we let influence us. Nowadays, it's the internet, right? So many people are positively and negatively influenced by what they see, what they hear on the internet, on the media, in the news. Right now, there's a whole lot of stuff happening in the United States because it's a political year. Every 4 years, it's like half the populations, or most of the population, not even half, some of the population's heads explode, and there's all this nonsense and infighting and disagreement over something as silly as politics. And that is not a good example of being a chip off the old block. That's an example of surrounding ourselves with people or being influenced by things that aren't in our best interest. So how do we use this? How do we use being similar or different in ways that we're related to people or close to people to our advantage to help us grow and create the business that we want? Well, number one, we surround ourselves with things and people and influences that create the lifestyle and the business that we want. We find people that are examples and role models of and have already done what we want to do. They've created the business or a business like we'd like to create. Maybe it's the systems and the processes and the procedures they've put in place. Maybe it's the culture that they've created in their organization. Maybe it's the business itself. Maybe it's a business model that we love and we want to emulate and tweak and make our own. Whatever it is, we want to find people that are good examples that are moving us toward what we want, not that are bad examples that move us away from what we want. Can we get, and do we often have attributes that are not so positive that we inherit from relatives? Yes. Our environment has a huge impact on how we behave and who we become. But it doesn't have all of the responsibility and all of the impact. We always have the ability to choose for ourselves. So it's up to us to choose how much of a chip off the old block we want to be and how much we want to be independent, be thinking for ourselves, be different. Just like I resemble my sisters in certain ways, I am very different and very unique and very not like my sisters in more ways than I am like them. Although people tend to notice hey, you guys all look alike. Y'all look like sisters. Well, of course we do, because we are all sisters. We came from the same parents, the same gene pool. But we're also very different. And I think that especially in business, we need to remember that we want to focus on the things that are unique and special and different about us, because that's how we better serve the people that we're here to serve with our business. We also want to sell to, in every industry, everybody's trying to do the same thing. So we want to be and sell to the chips in our industry, the niches or the differences in our industries that we're uniquely qualified to serve, not everybody in a particular industry. So think of a school teacher that's also an entrepreneur. Think of not just serving business owners, but specific business owners. For example, I work with a lot of restaurants. I work with a lot of hospitality businesses. I work with a lot of manufacturers and manufacturing businesses because I love manufacturing, and that's what makes me different than other business coaches or consultants. You might focus on spas or liquor stores or restaurants or big businesses, big chains, franchises. There's so many different ways that you can pick a chip in your industry and serve specifically that chip, or chips, because once you figure out how to serve and sell to and provide your products and services to one area in your market, it's easy to expand to other markets. In theater, they call that taking the show on the road. And I think that we can do so much more of that than we actually do as business owners. And that means we expand our products and services just to other groups that we can solve problems for. So being a chip off the old block, I would love to know your experience with this particular idiom. If you've heard it, I have been told my entire life that I was a chip off the old block, meaning and referring to one of my parents or one of my siblings or a cousin or whatever. So it's an idiom that I grew up with and means a lot to me. I appreciate how I am similar to my family members, but I also appreciate how I am different. And I think that that's a balanced approach. If we look for what's right in our lives, we get more of it. If we look for what's wrong, we get more of that. I say, let's look for what's right. Let's keep moving toward creating the business that we want to create and making the world a better place. All right, have an absolutely amazing day. I will be with you tomorrow with another interesting idiom. What does it mean? Where does it come from? And how might you use it to grow your business right now? Take care.